Hello, I officially welcome you to my live video. Apparently, today is my first time in 3 months I'm doing video, and it's all because I want to give an update on the UK NMC's English language requirement. It's about 5 more days to go for the UK NMC to make changes to the English language requirement, so that international nurses who are struggling with the IELTS and OET can possibly sail through to achieve their dreams here in the UK. So today what I'm going to do is that we are still going to look at the update. What's happened so far, and it's still a possibility. Is there still a possibility for the UK NMC to make changes to the English language requirements? Come 28th September. We've got about, today is 23rd. We've got 5 days more to go. So let's see what happens. Yeah. So if this is new to you, what I'm going to say is that as an international nurse, before you become a nurse in the UK, you just have to go through an English language proficiency requirement. They just want to know if you can communicate in English and effectively. So what happens here is that you would have to either sit for the IELTS or the OET, and the UK NMC has got some requirements that you need to achieve to be able to go through this process. So I've made a lot of videos about this. Explaining why the requirements are there, and then why there's a need for you to possibly write the IELTS and the OET. But there's good news on the way, and as a matter of fact, we are all waiting patiently to see what the UK NMC will say come 28th September. And the good news is that right after the changes have been stated, what happens is that in October it will start its implementation. And that is a good thing about this. So I'm going to play a video here right from the UK NMC's website about how the whole consultation started and the need for them to make changes to this language, English language requirement. I'm happy because even though I've written IELTS already, but I think it's a step to helping other international nurses to pursue their dreams in the UK. I always say that there are a lot of people, there are a lot of nurses out there who are willing to further up their education, who are willing to further up their nursing career here in the UK, but the stumbling block is that of the IELTS and the OET. The stumbling block is for them to pass an English language requirement. And the UK NMC has made the registration so strict that if you don't achieve the results you are looking out for, it will be very difficult for you to sail through the process. So it's good news for us all. Come 28th October, 28th September 2022. So 5 days more to go. Yeah. So let me just, before I play the video on the UK NMC's website, I want us to look at what the changes is all about. Over the years, most stakeholders, most institutions, most international nurses have raised concerns about the fact that the English language requirement is not fair. As a matter of fact, it's not fair to international nurses. There are some countries that are studying in English, and as a matter of fact, if a nurse from this country is coming to the UK, I don't think there's a need for this person to be assessed on his or her English language ability. So people have raised a lot of concerns about this, and the UK NMC gave them the listening ear. That is why they had to come up with the changes. So the first changes they were considering, or probably the first proposal, was the fact that can the IELTS results or the OET results be reduced? Currently, if you have to write the IELTS with the hope of pursuing your nursing in the UK, you should be having an overall band score of 7, and at least 7 band score in the reading, the listening, and the speaking. And you can have at least 6.5 in the writing test, and the OET you should have B throughout, except the writing, that you can have C+. So this is the current state of the UK NMC's English language requirement. So as part of the proposals, people were saying that there's a need for the IELTS results to be reduced. So if at least the reading can be dropped to 6, the writing can people are passing the writing because over the years it's been the aspect that the UK NMC has been focusing on, because they believe that people are struggling to basically go through the writing test, and there's a need for that to be reduced. They've done a lot of assignments on that, but from the look of things, most people do complain about the reading test. So if the UK NMC can make some changes about the reading test, the listening test, and then the speaking test, then I think it will go a long way to help international nurses. So I've seen some people online. Thank you very much for coming. Let's see what I can do. Thank you very much for joining this live stream. This is my first time in so many months. Thank you very much for those who are liking. I really appreciate. Thank you. Just leave a comment, and yeah. So let's continue. So let's see. All right. So as I made mention of, the first thing they are looking at is reducing the IELTS score and then the OET score, and then the second proposal is looking at the criteria for clubbing or combining IELTS results. You know, the UKNMC has made it so easy on one aspect that if you've written out on 2 occasions, you can club the results provided you meet the requirement. So they're also going to review that criteria and see if there's a need for amendment or something like that. So that is it. And they're also considering the fact that should they use employer references or postgraduate qualification taught in English as a way of proving English language proficiency. They are looking at that aspect as well. And as part of the consultation, they also raise concerns that, looking at the criteria or the score I mentioned for the IELTS and the OET, especially the IELTS, if a candidate is short by 0.5 in either of the aspects, then this person can add or supplement the result with either an employer reference or a postgraduate qualification taught in English. So that's one of the proposals they are looking at. And for me, I think that may be something worth considering. But let's wait and see what happens. We've got 5 more days to go, and I believe that for me, I think there will be a positive feedback or review about the whole show. So let's all stay positive and see what happens. So we're going to look at how the whole consultation and everything started. And I always say that if you never took part in the consultation, well, whichever way, it's too late. You can't do that. It's very unfortunate. But whatever results that come up, remember that some people have decided for you. Maybe if you could have added your voice, your view might have, outnumber what other people have said. And at the end of the day, there will be some kind of considerations in what you think. But for now, I think whatever results that come up, you have to embrace it. But I strongly believe that there will be a positive feedback. Come 28 September, just 5 days more to go. Yeah. So I want us to listen to whatever, the whole broad view about the consultation, and then we see, where there's anything for me to rant, I'll do that.
And we review that guidance regularly. I say roughly around about every 2 or 3 years. And we've been engaging with stakeholders over the past year, I would say, and we've been hearing quite a lot of frustration from stakeholders, particularly around those people who have not been trained in the UK, and their frustrations and the challenges they are experiencing. So we're looking at this consultation. We're trying to address those concerns through this consultation. But what I thought I would do to start off with was just be to explain to you what our current requirements are, what stakeholders have said to us in terms of the challenges with those requirements, and why we've come up with the consultation proposals, and then what those proposals are. So if I could have the next slide, please. And then the next slide after that, thank you. So the purpose of the review really is to make sure that the requirements we have in place are fair and proportionate and in line with our statutory purpose and organisational values. And our statutory purpose is, as I'm sure you all know, is to protect the public, maintain and promote high standards of professional care, and promote public confidence in the nursing and midwifery and nursing associate professions. So it's very important that what the standards we have are proportionate to enabling us to achieve that objective, and that they're also fair for everybody seeking to join our register. In addition to that, we have a number of 4 key organisational values. Is that we're kind, we're fair, we're collaborative, so we like to work with our partners internally and externally, and fundamentally we're also ambitious. We want to do the best job that we possibly can. to enable all applicants who are capable of safe and effective practice as a nurse, midwife, or nursing associate in England to join our register regardless of their country of training.
So, based on what I've listened so far, or what we've listened so far, so one of the reasons why they are reviewing the English language proficiency is to basically make it easy for international nurses from different countries to also join their register. Because over the years, I think I read somewhere that about last year, 23,000 nurses joined the register, and as a matter of fact, they are trying to make it more easier for anyone who's interested in working in the UK to come in, and that is one of the reasons why the English language proficiency test is basically being reviewed. So I think it's a step in the right direction that you have to embrace. Yeah.
And what we're doing with this review is to try and understand, first of all, from stakeholders and others, why applicants struggle to meet the language requirements, develop a clear evidence base for change, follow up on stakeholder feedback, and look in particular of how employers can provide support and evidence in support of an application from somebody who's been trained outside the UK, because employers, we know from the evidence that we've seen that employers make a big difference. The support that an employer can give can make a big difference between success and otherwise in registering with us. So if I could have the next slide, please. We have an arrow really that just explains what we've done. We started off by developing an evidence base to inform our options development between January and May. And as part of that, we have done a variety of literature reviews that has looked at what other professional regulators in the UK do, but also what other nursing and midwifery regulators do outside of the UK in terms of what their requirements are. So we've looked at that. We've held some listening exercises. We had a round table last November with stakeholders who are particularly concerned about the impact on international recruitment of some of the standards that we have in place at the moment. And we've established an expert or an external advisory group to enable us to kind of get some key input from people who are working in the health and social care sector, effectively working on the front line, if you like. We launched our consultation on the 17th of June, and that closes on the 12th of August. This is a key part of that, and at the end we'll explain to you how you can respond if you haven't already. I think, as Matthew said, we've had an extraordinary number of responses already, about 30,000 responses, which is fantastic. But there's a long way to go now, because the consultation doesn't close for another calendar month. We want to be able to take proposals to our council in September to make some decisions on whether or not make changes to our current requirements and what those changes would be. And then if there are going to be changes, we will be implementing those from October this year. So that is our plan and our approach.
As rightly said, the proposal started right in January 2022, and the decision was for them to run a consultation starting 17th July and then ending 12th August, which is ended, and the plan was to implement the whole thing, to review the changes and then come up with the results in September, which we are currently waiting for, apparently 5 days more to go. And then whatever changes that come up, then they are looking at there's a high possibility that it can be implemented in October. But the question is, there are some people who have written IELTS way back, somewhere in August, in March, the results are still not expired, but just that they couldn't meet some requirements expected to register the NMC. So the question most people have asked is, when the changes come up and it's like these people have their results meeting the criteria, would the NMC accept it? That is a very difficult question to answer, but I think so far as it's not expired, it can still be used to apply. And that's why most people who are willing to write IELTS, what I usually say is that, well, if you've not written IELTS, if you are writing within the shortest space of time, just make sure, just still focus on the actual score that the NMC requires, the current score. So at the end of the day, even if you get that score and there are some changes to it, you can still, work your way around it. But people are still waiting, just trying to see if there's a need for them to rewrite, or still wait and see if their old IELTS results will still match up to. it's a very difficult question to answer. And I think, if it's a very difficult question to answer, because for now, no one can tell as to whether they would see, whoever has written before the changes can still use that result, or whoever writes after the changes. So let's hope and see what happens. So what I want to say is that let's keep our hopes high. It's probably 5 days more to go for the UK NMC to come up with the changes. About 31,000 people and over took part in the consultation, and I believe that most of them would opt for the fact that the IELTS and then the OET test score should be reduced. But the question is the UK NMC going to adhere to any of these? The fact that the score should be reduced, or are they going to supplement the actual IELTS score together with employer reference or postgraduate qualification? These are some questions that are coming up, and people have raised concerns. Especially, I received a message this morning about a friend who said he's read in Nursing Times that, let me just read out the information and we can all run to right. So this friend said, I think it was just a session of whatever she read on Nursing Times that she posted on one of the videos I made about this. So it says more information on the first proposal around the English language test. The NMC is proposing to standardize the minimum scores it accepts when individuals need to combine two English language test scores. So what it means is that one factor they are looking at is making changes to the criteria for combining IELTS test scores, which I've already mentioned. This will mean adjusting the scores accepted individually across 4 domains of the test, which include reading, writing, speaking, and then listening. Currently, when combining test scores, an applicant needs to achieve an overall combined score of 7 or B. That is 7 in the IELTS and then B in the OET. However, if they score below a 6.5 or C plus in any of the individual domains, they are unable to combine their score with another test. So currently, if you have to combine IELTS test score or your OET test score, what happens is that you should have a minimum score of 6.5 in either of them. Okay, and with the OET, you should not have something less than C plus. But based on what she stated here, this proposal is going to change. They are going to look at how to maneuver their way to combine test results. So at the end of the day, if you have something lesser than what they have at the moment, you can still combine. And someone also suggested that they may also be looking at the duration, because they will say that if you have written the first IELTS, the interval between the first IELTS and the second IELTS should not be between, I think, 6 months. Should not be more than 6 months. If it is, then you can't combine. So I think they also look at that aspect as well, that okay, why don't you reduce it to 2 months, 3 months, or I think why don't we extend it? I think they will extend it rather, let's say like a year or so. So if you wrote your first IELTS, let's say somewhere in February, and you probably have to prepare to write the second one just because you couldn't meet up to the criteria, and let's say you wrote somewhere, you have a writing somewhere in, let's say, September 28th. Whatever results you get, if the changes come up to the point that okay, we have extended the whole duration, then I think you can combine these results. So it depends on what the NMC will say about this. So one thing I want you to know is that they are looking at that aspect as well, making changes to the criteria for combining IELTS results or OET results. And then this means that, for example, if an applicant scored a 6 or C in writing, where the minimum score is 6.5 or C plus, they will still be able to combine their test scores, where currently they are not. So that's what I explained. Good day, I saw this on Nursing Times. Could you please expatiate? And I think anything can happen, because 31,000 people and over, doing the consultation means that there will be an aspect of this, proposals that will dominate. And the UKNMC has promised to listen to the hearings of the public. So at the end of the day, stakeholders, institutions, and everybody who has at a point added a voice, has a say in making the changes happen. And someone also said that let's wrap up our heads around this They will deliver decisions on what scores are acceptable for clubbing. So I've explained that already, which is when you combine two attempts of your IELTS or OET, the duration in which you can give the test, the duration which you can give the two tests. They might increase the time frame as far as the score is concerned. It is highly unlikely that it will be below 7 or B. Also, they are pondering upon if they should accept evidence of English language from an employer that you have worked with, since most ACA working in the UK are unable to excel as registered nurses due to current scores. So it's like most people are focusing on, the combining of the IELTS results, combining the criteria for combining, and well, I don't think they will script that, but well, they can make changes to it. They can make some changes to it, but I think there will be an aspect that will dominate, and that will probably be from the fact that maybe they will look at, as I earlier mentioned, if you are short by let's say 0.5 in any of the aspects, then you can apply, you can add your employer reference or something like that. So this is basically what's happening at the moment, and I think, well, we have to wait and see what happens on 28th September. So this is just a quick update on, what's transpired so far. And if this is your first time hearing about the changes, I strongly believe that, this will go a long way to ignite you to pursue your dream. Don't let IELTS stop you or OET stop you. No matter what changes that come up, just make sure that you are pursuing your dream, okay? Because sometimes I always say that your success is behind what you fear most. So just try and then make it happen, no matter what changes that come, whether it's in favor of you or not. Just try and then push up. It is still possible. Remember that, people have been able to work their way out to, working in the UK. So let's see what happens, and at the end of the day, we shall see, we shall see the victory or the glory we are looking out for. Thank you very much for joining my live video. I really appreciate, and I appreciate everyone who have liked this video, who could spend time based on a busy schedule to join this live video. Thank you, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.